Okay, my great ancestors came from Spain in the year 1500 to Santa Fe, New Mexico. I was born in Dixon, New Mexico, and when I was 10 days old, we moved to Alamosa, was in southern Colorado. And when I was 13, or 1940, we moved to Fort Lupton. And I've been here ever since.
So you went to school here in Fort Lupton as well, and then when did you join the service?
I got married in 1950, and we didn't have no children for 5 years, so they drafted me in 1951. And I went through Fort Riley, Kansas, and took advanced infantry training, and then they sent me to Fort Sam Houston, and I took medical training. Even though I had a bad hole in my ear, and I wasn't supposed to be in combat, they still sent me to Korea, and while I was in Korea in a holding company, one of the companies got wiped out, and they killed a medic. So I volunteered for that company. So I've served about 4 months with the infantry on the front line, and then they transferred me back to medical company because of the high fatality on medics. And while I serve in the medical company, I served in 2 big battles, the Triangle Hill, which we lost 3,000 men the first day. But we won that one, and then we moved over to Heartbreak Ridge. And that was another history battle. And my citation says that Private Montoya was bringing in the wounded from the front lines and was well qualified in first aid. And in many occasions, Private Montoya gave blood transfusion before arriving to the first aid station to the doctor. And in several occasions, there was patients that the doctor feel they couldn't make it. So I volunteered to take them to the helicopter site where they would pick them up and remove them to a better hospital or to Japan. And we received notice from Japan that several of them had lived. So this is where my third medal for meritorious achievement come in.
So we also spoke about some of your other achievements as a member of the Fort Lupton community. Can you tell us I know you're very proud of the fact of your the other battle you fought for members of the Hispanic community, right?
On May the 2nd, 1953, I was discharged from the Army, and I went to look for a job at Fitzsimmons Army Hospital as a janitor, and they turned me down. And then they called me and said if I still wanted the job next day. So I questioned it, why now? And they said, we looked at your military records, and you got more medals than the officers do here. So I worked at Fitzsimmons the first 2.5 years. I was the only Hispanic and one black in the department. In less than 2.5 years, I was running the department, and in 1961, President Kennedy signed the Equal Opportunity, and they moved me out to give classes on Hispanic culture. You got to understand that I only went to the 6th grade, but yet they had me doing these jobs. And they moved me up to advise the general on minority population and minority hiring. And I asked the general if he knew where the minorities were located, because he said we were over our quota on minority, but he didn't know where. So I explained to him they were working in the laundry, in food service, cutting grass. I said, you don't have a single minority in the executive position. And I kind of got a little mad, and I pushed my chair backwards, and I stood up. And I said, and sir, you have the pleasure to see the first Hispanic supervisor out of 1,400 employees. So I served advising the general, and I worked there 35 years. And I had 1,400 employees under me. And if anybody had a problem with their job or their boss, I was the only one that could handle it. And I would go see their boss and explain to them, and some laughed and said if they didn't feel like doing it, what would I do about it? I said, nothing. I just make one phone call to Washington, and they will send a crew over here. And my first guess is they're going to break your rank, or they're going to throw you out of the Army. And if they keep you, they're going to ship you to Alaska or someplace that you won't be happy. So that was my career at Fitzsimmons. At the same time, Governor Love requested from the city government of Fort Lupton that they would take me in to get rid of discrimination. So they formed up a committee on community relation committee, and I was the chairman for 30 years. And we managed to get rid of 6 police officers and get rid of discrimination. And if you ever go down to the city hall, you see people like yourself and Juan here and the chief clerk, a lot of Hispanics working there. The school had the same problem. They weren't hiring bilingual teachers or very few custodians. Now they're all a lot of bilingual teachers and custodians working over there. All the personnel mostly working for the city on the outside are our Hispanics. So I moved on to Greeley, and I work with victim compensation for the district attorney of the 9th Judicial District. And our job was, if you or your family was hurt or in an accident, or there was a lot of sexual in the families, and we were supposed to hear this case, and we had a limit of $10,000 to help them. And those that needed help from psychiatrists, we paid for that. So I served there 3 years. And I also served with the Weld County that collects money. And I served there a year, and I felt that Fort Lupton was the orphan of Well County. Whatever money they got from the government or any place else, they used it up in Greeley, and we got little or nothing. So I came back to Fort Lupton. I was chosen president of the recreation. I refused it and gave it to our lawyer, John Dent, because I was still working at Fitzsimmons. And I've served in so many committees that I don't know where they got my name, or my education probably didn't let me go further. But to go back and receiving my medals, the city wouldn't accept it. But the VFW said they would present my medals to me. So they did that. And 6 months later, I ended up in the hospital with a bleeding ulcer. So my brother went to the VFW, and they'll tell you in that paper, I needed 6 units of blood. And they denied they had blood. But finally they said we do have a blood bank, but it's for our white veterans. So that seems to be the treatment for Hispanics, mostly in northern Colorado. We didn't have that in southern Colorado, even though we represented 80%. We were able to go to the show. We were able to go to the bar. We were able to go shopping. In Fort Lupton, in the theater, they had a small balcony, and that's where the Hispanics had to sit. In Brighton, they had a theater, a good one, but the Hispanics had to sit on the left side. And the police would go in there, and if they catch you anyplace else, they would take you to jail. In Brighton schools, the swimming pool, they let the Hispanic use it 1 day a week. And then they would clean it all out, and the Anglos got to use it the rest of the week. After I completed all this, I didn't get involved no more until about 3 months ago. Or was it 5 months ago when they put up the Field of Honor? And I got these trophies here, veterans helping veterans. I got blankets from ladies to keep the veterans warm. And then I got to be the honor to cut the ribbon, and I've been serving with them ever since. I did get a chance to go see Mr. Chris Cross, and they couldn't locate him. So Mrs. Pena came out and asked him what the problem was. And they said that man wants to see Mr. Cross and we can't locate him. So Mrs. Pena said, "You know who that man is?" They said, "No." He said, "That's Press Montoya. And because of him, we all have a job." So in Fort Lupton and Brighton and part of Denver, I'm known as a legend. I have several T-shirts saying I'm the legend. I'll show you one pretty soon. And on my 95th birthday, I told my daughter, I think I'm going to retire. I think I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. And I think that Fort Lupton is a lot better for it. And like the old magazines, I don't know, of what Virginia Dare, it says, "We've gotten long ways." And that's what I told the mayor. We've gone a long ways. Any questions?
No, I think, again, I just want to again, thank you for all of the service, your service, not only in the war, but in our communities. I would agree that Fort Lupton is a great place. So I appreciate your efforts there to make our community a better place. So.
On my 95th birthday, the mayor came in late because she had other meetings, but I was presented this flag from the representatives, from the House of Representatives at the state capitol. The United States flag was flown over the Colorado State Capitol on May the 2nd, the year 2025, in the honor of Press Montoya, U.S. Army, 1952 and 53, in recognition of his service in Korea with the 7th Infantry Division's 32nd Regiment Medical Company. Press was awarded 3 Bronze Stars, 1 Bronze Star for meritorious achievement, requested by the state representative Carlos Barron. And it gives you a history of the United States flag. And I'm very thankful to Mr. Barron and the state of Colorado.
What an honor to receive the flag that was flown on the Capitol, the state Capitol.
Yeah.
I would say it's a great honor and well deserved. So
Thank you.
thank you for your many years of service. And not quite sure how you plan to retire. I don't know that anyone will let you, but we'll see.
When I was discharged, the Army didn't give me an examination. And they didn't tell me about the VA, Veterans Administration. So when I applied for it, my record was burned in St. Louis in 1973. So the VA said I had no record, no proof. So they sent me to Cheyenne, and Cheyenne approved it and sent me back to Denver, and they denied 90% was denied by the Veterans Administration in Denver. So they asked me to go see the administrator. I said, no, you either send me to Washington or I'll go to Washington. So when I met with the judges in Washington let's see, that would be 2010, he asked me about my experience and my records, and I showed it to him. And he said, why do you need a medical records when your medals show what you did for your country? And he said, what about your tooth? I said, they told me in Denver I had to be shot in the face. And he said, give me the lady's name and I'll fire her tomorrow morning. Anyway, Washington granted me 90% disability. Today, I'm glad to have over 30 nurses from the VA of different occupations that come to Fort Lupton to take care of me. From other agencies, I got a housekeeper that comes twice a week to clean my house, do my laundry, do my cooking, and anything else that I need. I also had, for 23 years, from another agency, a full-time nurse that comes in and puts my medication in separate boxes and order new ones. They have given me 2 wheelchairs, one electric and one manual. They give me 2 pair of shoes a year, all the socks I need. They give me glasses once a year. They give me hearing aids as needed. And about a month ago, they did a cornea on me. And it seems to be healing very good. I got another appointment this week. So today, the veterans can't do enough for me. But there's other veterans. And back in the days, there was 40 veterans in Arizona that died because they could not get an appointment with the Veterans Administration. That caused quite a scandal, and they run it up to Denver. And they found out that instead of treating the veterans, they were keeping the money that they should have given the veterans and given the executives, given themselves a raise. So that changed the veterans. Well, we'll see what Mr. Trump has got for us.
Mr. Montoya, in final thought I have for you is, how would you like to be remembered? What would you like myself and your family and the members of the community to know most about you?
Well, I got 2 answers to that. The first one goes, when I started school in Alamosa, I didn't know any English. And when the Hispanic kids would get out to play and we talk Spanish, they'd pull our hairs and hit us in the head and said, if you're American, speak American. For lunch, we hide our tortillas in our pockets because they would make fun of us. Today, they want to change our lunch meat sandwiches for our burritos. That's how far the Mexican food has gone. Another thing that happened to me in Alamosa, that the teachers refused to say Brasiliano. That's the name I was born with. So they changed it to Press. And I tell the people as a joke, the white people can say Schwarzenegger and not blink an eye, but they can't say Press Montoya, they can't say Juan, they want to say John. So they constantly want to be changing us. So I remember one of the meetings that I attended with the city council, and the mayor said, well, you're next, Press, so get ready. I said, I am ready. He said, how would you like for me to introduce you? As Mexican, Mexican American, Spanish, Spanish American, Latino, Chicano, and I don't know how many more names they had for us. And once in a while, I told the mayor, why don't you and hell introduce me as my God-given name, Press Montoya? And I've been asked a question, something like yours. If God hadn't made you Hispanic, what would you like to be? I said, I'd be ashamed of myself. because that's what God made me, and that's what I live. So I've had these questions put to me in different ways, and those are my answers.
I like that answer. I'm grateful to be who you are.
Well, I got a 6th grade education, so I give it what I got.
Awesome. Do you have anything else you want to share with us before we conclude?
I would like to just share this. I got it. And you're gonna get some of these pictures. This is from the field of honor that they honored me and presented me with several medals. This is the Medal of Meritorious Achievement for administering blood transfusion before we got to the doctor. And this is the latest presentation from the state of Colorado, presented to me by Mr. Barron. And this was a surprise, and I'm very proud of this, and I'll be glad to present some of these to you later on.
Absolutely. Thank you. We appreciate that. So on behalf of the museum and the community, again, I appreciate your time, Mr. Montoya, and I'm sure we will catch up soon.
Okay.